tonight's lecture is based on the Gospel according to Spiritism. Those of you who have joined us before is familiar with the Gospel according to Spiritism. And tonight, the chapter that we are going to be talking about is chapter 7, Blessed are the poor in spirit, and it's items 11 and 12, Pride and Humility. But before we do that, we always like to start with a prayer. So you can either close your eyes or keep them open, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. I like to close my eyes so that I can connect with my guides and mentors. Let's take a few deep breaths as we connect with ourselves, where we connect with the reasons that we find ourselves here today. Let's take this time for us to slow down, for us to connect with each other, connect with the reasons that we are gathering, that we are able to elevate our minds, open our hearts to the discussions that we're having today, to the words that have been brought to us so that we can put into practice the words that may help us open our minds to a new way of thinking, that we are able to connect with our higher selves during this time. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank God for giving us this opportunity to be here today. And I'd like to start with our Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. So be it. Okay. As I said, the chapter that we'll be doing today is chapter 7 and items 11 and 12. Now, it is quite long, those two items, and it's always recommended that you actually read those chapters because sometimes it may give you a different perspective to what I'm bringing to you today. But I'd like to start by talking about pride. So what do we think pride actually means? What do we, when we talk about pride, what it is that comes to mind? So to me, when I think about pride, I think that pride and ego can go hand in hand. Pride to me means that you may think that you're better than someone else. Pride can mean that you actually feel that you are above someone else, so that things that you do is actually better than someone else. So I'm a proud person because I think that I can do better than someone else. And what would you think, are the traits of someone who carries pride? What are these traits? What is it that brings to you an emotion to make you feel proud? Now, there's a positive way of thinking in pride when you take pride of yourself, take pride in the way you look or the way you do things. You might be a person who likes to do things at the best of your capabilities, which we all want to put our best effort into anything we do. But sometimes that can come across as being arrogant. That sometimes can come across as you feeling that you're above someone else. And I think that, what is it that we can do so that we don't allow pride to get in the way of how we act with others or how we, live our lives on a daily basis. Sometimes we find ourselves placed in different circumstances, or sometimes we find ourselves placed with people that may test, how we deal with a certain situation or how we feel about somebody else doing something when we think in our eyes we can do better. And what it is that we can do to stop ourselves from having the feeling that we can be better than someone else or we can do something better than someone else. And I'll take an example from tonight because, putting this lecture together or this talk together, I did a lot of thinking and a lot of reading and a lot of analysing, what I do. And I found that even tonight in doing this, I've actually allowed my pride to get in the way because I want to be able to deliver the best lecture that I can do for you or for myself or for everyone else that's listening. And every time I kind of wrote a few things down that I wanted to talk about, by the time I started doing the lecture, I looked at it and I said, no, I'm not happy with that. I want to do it better, or I want to add other examples, or I would stop what I was doing. And it actually took me quite some time to put this particular lecture together. Excuse me. Because I wanted to make it perfect because once my word is out there, people are going to be watching this, people are going to be listening to what I have to say. And I don't want people judging me. I don't want people looking at it and going, oh, I didn't really think that, what she said was any good, or even if you did think that it was good, in my mind, I want to do better. So I thought to myself, this is a good lesson for me because I am pretty much living what I'm talking about. I, by all means, have been doing these lectures ever since the Spirit Centre has been around, which I think we're going on to 18 years, I think, off the top of my head, without counting. And it's not the first time that I've come across this particular topic, but here I am again. Each time I read it or each time I revisit it, I see something different and I learn something new. So I think that for me is a good lesson in itself that, we can always learn, even though we think we know what we're doing. Sometimes we look at things and think, oh, I've done that before and it's quite easy to do again. But as time goes, we do change. Our minds change. We grow. So what we were thinking about something in the past, today I see it differently. So I think that's why I may have struggled a little bit because of the way I think now opposed to when I used to, 18 years ago or 10 years ago. So I think that what I wanted to really cover today is really the difference between pride and humility. What are the traits of someone who carries humility, somebody who practices humbleness, somebody who is able to look at themselves as an equal to someone else, where they don't allow pride to get in their way, when they're able to, accept feedback or accept that they make mistakes, where they are able to be humble, to ask for assistance, ask for help. I think we are, all of us, the world, when I say all of us, I mean the world, is going through a lot of testing times at the moment. With COVID-19, I think it has brought a different perspective in life for all of us. Some people are embracing, some people are rejecting, non-accepting. Some people are scared. Some people are, going through lots of different emotions. I think for me, this second lockdown has made life a little bit more difficult as a whole. And I think that, I need to use this time to reevaluate my life and what I want, and how I'm living and what it is that I need to do. Because as spiritists, we know that we have lived in this earth before. We are here again. We are living in a different body, but we believe that we're primarily spirit. So we bring with us from our previous existences some of these traits, some vices and some virtues. And to me, pride is a vice and humility is a virtue. So I think we need to look at our own virtues and our own vices, because everybody has their own, as we know. And what it is that I can do to diminish my vices, being pride one of them, and increase my virtues, humility being one of them. And what it is that I can practice in my daily life that I can, within time, be able to minimize the vices, in the same time increasing my virtues. So what does being proud or having pride do to us? I think when you carry this pride, sometimes you're blinded by your own faults. So you don't see that you could have done something better, or what you did wasn't right, or sometimes you cannot see beyond what you think is right. So that's one of the things that I believe that pride can do to someone. And so therefore you're not accepting of others because you think what you think is right. And if somebody thinks you've done something not right, you don't see that, because to you, you're right. Your pride doesn't allow you to see beyond that. And that is something that we need to work on, because we are not perfect. We know that if we were perfect, we wouldn't be living in this earth right now. Perfection is not on this earth. We have people striving to be perfect. We have people who you may look at them and it's just nice and easy for them to be humble, to be forgiving, to be loving, to be understanding. It's like it just oozes off them. It's just who they are. And that's probably, something that they've probably worked on, not just this lifetime, but maybe from previous lifetimes. But, I take it back to me, what it is that I need, because it's great to see these virtues in others, but what is it that I need to do for myself so I can be the best version of myself? And recognizing that we do carry these traits, recognizing that we sometimes, can be, carry these vices such as pride. That I, was struggling to do tonight's lecture because I thought to myself I wasn't doing the best that I could do. I wanted to bring you as much information, as much as I understand of this particular chapter in the Gospel, but forgetting that I'm actually human too, and pride is getting in my way, and it can get in our way with certain things that we do in our daily lives. You might not accept maybe a task that you're given by someone because you're too scared that you might fail, and that will hurt your pride. Why? Why am I scared to take on something new, something that's unfamiliar to me? And why do I feel that I can't do that because I could potentially fail in that task? And then that would hurt my pride. Why can't I be humble enough, if I do fail, learn from my mistakes so that next time I can do it better? And I think that's where we are finding, where I find that balance a little bit hard, because even though it's good to have that pride to do a good job, to work hard, to be the best version of who I want to be, but I can't let that dictate what I can and can't do, because I need to have that humility that if I am not doing the best, if I have failed to complete a task or haven't been able to do something that I thought I would be able to do, because I know that I can do everything I put my mind to, but I need to be humble enough to accept that sometimes, I'm not that perfect person that I think I am. So what does it mean to be humble or to have humility? So to me, let's talk about, what is it that actually means? To me, it means that if you have humility, you are somebody who accepts, somebody who forgives, somebody who is patient, and you are able to be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for the opportunities that come your way. Be grateful for the little things in life that you are able to not only look at things that can go wrong, but when they do go wrong, you're humble enough to accept and learn from that. And I think that's one of the things that we sometimes find hard to do for ourselves. And I like to talk about, when I talk about any of your vices or any of your virtues, especially the vices, because I think, we are one of our worst critics. We judge ourselves sometimes even more than others do, and we give ourselves a hard time for when we do something that we didn't expect to do. When you think that, I think I'm a good person, I think I'm charitable, I think I'm understanding and I'm patient, and when I don't do those things, I kind of be hard on myself and go, but you know better. As a spiritist, we learn, we read, we understand, we go, yep, I know what I'm meant to be doing. I know that I'm meant to be humble. I know I'm meant to be charitable, forgiving, understanding. But when we're faced with the challenges of life, when we are faced with difficult circumstances, difficult people, challenges that, it tests even the most humble and the most patient person, it's always harder to put those things into practice. We can pick up the book, read this, have been reading it for a very long time, and continue to read it. Continue to do the gospel at home. Continue to read the gospel at the Spirit Centre, or we do it via Zoom now. But once I read that and then I go into my daily life and try to put that into practice, sometimes the two don't go hand in hand, because it requires a lot of effort. It requires a lot of free will, a lot of will and determination. Because sometimes we are faced with the same problem over and over again because we haven't quite learnt what it is that we need to take away from that situation. Because sometimes we've allowed the pride to get in our way. Because sometimes we weren't humble enough to admit we were wrong and change the way we do things. So I think that for me, this chapter talks about how can we be more humble? How can we not allow our own selfishness, our own survival, our own ability to look at a bigger picture? Because sometimes we only see what's in front of you. Sometimes we only see our problem. We don't see the problem of those around us. We always think our problem is bigger than the neighbour's problem, or my suffering is worse than their suffering. Let's not take away from our own suffering and what we really experience, because everyone has their own trials and their own tribulations. We all know that we arrive on this earth, that we have brought some baggage from previous lives. And while we're here, we can kind of start leaving some of those things we don't need. So let's work on what it is that we don't need for this lifetime, so that when we leave this lifetime and enter the next one, we are not as full of baggage, but what we take with us are things that are going to serve us for our next life. God has been given us this opportunity to perfect ourselves. And every incarnation, we can do better, we can evolve, we can have our spiritual growth, or we can stay stagnant. We can just come in this lifetime and we just ride it like the wave, let's just plateau along this life without making any effort, without, facing our challenges. I'm going to run away from my problems. I'm going to ignore my problems. I'm going to pretend that I'm perfect. I'm going to pretend that I'm, humble, because I want people to like me, people to see me as a good person. But once you hit the pillow at night and you're in with your own thoughts and your mind, how do you feel about your day? Is there anything I would change? Is there anything I could do better? Is there anything that I should have done that I didn't do? Was I able to look to my neighbour and offer a kind word? Was I able to apologise for something that I may have done wrong? Was I able to be humble enough to say that I may have made a mistake and that I need to rectify that? I think Jesus calls upon us to look at everyone as brothers and sisters. We're all created the same. We might be on different levels of evolution. We might be on different levels of understanding, because what I think is right, what I believe is right, may not be what you believe is right. And I think we need to respect others, that everybody has the same right as you, because we were all created the same. We were all given the same opportunity. Some are able to see and work through these a lot better, or a lot more suitable for their needs. But it doesn't mean that it's better than me, you're better than them, I'm better than you. It just means that we're at different levels of evolution. I might be able to, read this book from start to end, but I may not understand. I might not be ready to understand the messages today. That doesn't mean that if I don't read this next week, a year from now, that I'm going to still be at the same level that I was today. Because we are here to learn, we are here to grow. So, for me, this chapter calls me to look at my life. Am I able to be the best version that I am of who I am? Am I able to start my day with a clean slate? God has given us night and day, because when we sleep and we wake up the next morning, we're given another opportunity to do better. Let's not forget about the lessons that we had the night before, the day before, the weeks before. But let's remember that if we have made a mistake, that there is something that we need to fix, that we're given the next day, the next morning as we arise, that opportunity to do better. So in saying that, I've come to almost time for us to finish. And I would like to share with you a message from this book. It's called hopefully bring it a little bit closer. It's called The Christian Agenda. It's from the Spirit Called André Luiz, written by Chico Xavier. Now, this is a book that just has small messages that I find useful for me. So they're just like inspirational messages that I like to read from time to time, depending on how I'm feeling, or sometimes I feel like I need a little bit of a boost, or a word of wisdom, or something for me to think about, or to help me sometimes through the day if I'm having a hard day. This message I thought would be nice for me to read at the end today. It's called Evangelical Treatments. Okay? And I think it ties in nicely with the chapter we've just spoken about. Always help. Do not fear. Never despair. Think often. Meditate more. Speak little. Correct lovingly. Work happily. Direct sensibly. Obey contently. Do not complain. Go forward. Observe beyond. Look ahead. Discuss serenely. Shed light. Sow peace. Spread blessings. Struggle. Elevating. Be happy. Live contently. Show courage. Reveal calmness. Respect everything. Pray trustingly. Be watchful with benevolence. Go forth, progressing. Serve today. Await tomorrow. I just thought that message is lovely to tie in with, how we should really be thinking, how we can be the best version of ourselves. It'd be great if we could put all that into practice in the one day. But if we can put one of those things in practice in one day, I think we've gone a big step ahead. Okay, so now as we come to the end, I'd like to thank you all for being here with me today, for listening, and hope that you can tune in again next week to see the next English lecture. And I would like to finish off with our usual prayer. But let's use this time so that we can give some of our time, some of ourselves, to those who may be in need, so that we can send some vibrations of love to those who may be experiencing hardship. So again, you can either close your eyes or keep them open. But I like to close my eyes. I feel more connected. So as I close my eyes and I want to send some vibrations of love, let's all think of those who we know who are experiencing some kind of hardship, those who may be experiencing some trials, some challenges in life. Let's think of them and send them some vibrations of love, evolving them with this white light. Let's extend these vibrations of love to all those who may be sick at home or in hospitals, the families of the sick ones. Let's extend these vibrations of love to all the leaders of all the countries in the world. Extending these vibrations of love to all the countries, remembering that we are all part of the one world. As we are united through this fight, that we are able to think of those who are less fortunate than us, and that we are able to send these vibrations of love. Let's extend these vibrations of love to those who may cross our paths, to our family, our friends, our work colleagues, and those who we sometimes also have difficulties with. Let's take this time for ourselves so that we can also receive some vibrations of love. As we come to the end, I'd like to thank our guides and mentors for being here with us, for helping to keep us focused. And I'd like to thank our guardian angels for the guidance and the protection that you give us always. I'd like to thank Jesus for your words of wisdom, for those examples that you have left for us to follow. And above all, I thank you, God, for giving us this opportunity to gather in your name. Thank you, God, and thank you, Jesus, and so be it. Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye.